People who have faith in the shroud as the burial cloth of Christ, but don't understand or don't know the science, when they get to know it and learn it, have more respect for the cloth because of that. Science truly followed and faith well followed blend to form the truth, and the truth is on that cloth.
One possibility, of course, is that we have some unknown man who was scourged, crucified, stabbed with a lance, crowned with thorns, who spent less than 3 days within his burial shroud and bears his image in such a way that it cannot be recreated with all the technology that exists today. Or perhaps, just perhaps, it may be Jesus the Christ.
This is your salvation. This is love in action.
The St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, in partnership with Patchwork Heart Ministry and Fiat Ministry Network, present a podcast for divorced and separated Catholics.
Hello, and welcome to a podcast from the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. This is our 10 Tips for Healing for Adult Children of Divorce, episode 10. We're already at the last episode. This has been a wonderful series. Mickey, welcome, our board president.
Hi, and thank you for having me.
Yes, this has just been an amazing series, and I want to encourage everybody who's listening that if you didn't listen to the other 9 episodes, just go to the Philly Nonnatus YouTube channel and subscribe. And then you can just find that right on there, the 10 Tips for Healing for Adult Children of Divorce. So on topic number 10, we are going to talk about the importance of getting involved in ministry, wherever the Lord is leading you, but especially if you feel that it's leading you to help somewhere in family life, because there's so many families that are in some kind of crisis, whether it be something to do with divorce or relationship issues or job loss, health crisis. I mean, all the different traumas that families go through. So why don't we just start by talking about that topic? And particularly, I have it listed as to pray and consider helping a ministry that brings healing to families. So, Mickey, what ideas do you have on that topic?
Yeah, and I think the topic really shares that, like, I think for parish life to really flourish is for parishioners to not only just get involved with, participate in the mass and of course, contribute to the offerings, like, for the offertory. But I also think the other thing too is they need to do something more than just going to mass, every given Sunday, let alone, if they find another time during the day, like during the week, I should rather say, to attend mass. Maybe they should think about getting involved with ministries. And if there's not a ministry that helps family heal from separation, divorce, or wherever the case is, they should honestly think about starting one. Because you never know who you can reach the moment when someone sees in the bulletin or there's an announcement from the pulpit. And even the Pope has even issued the cry for those who have been wounded to seek the healing that is needed through the Catholic Church. And of course, through God.
Amen. Well said. I'm glad you brought the Holy Father in there, because it's important to know what our Catholic Church, what they're kind of recommending to help for families to find that healing. And I agree with you 100%. I mean, we all need to get involved in something. Now, our ministry may not have to be like a nonprofit 501c3, right? I mean, somebody can just decide that they want to start some kind of a prayer group with friends or family members, something that might bring healing to families, especially those of families affected by divorce. So I really love that idea, Mickey, of what you said, that there's ways that we can all begin from the ground up. And on that topic, there is one nonprofit that all of you are invited to become part of. And I would say that is this very one, the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, because that's exactly what the Mercedarian Friars did back in 2015. They decided to start something from the ground up. And we really have evolved, I would say, over the last few years, especially with Mickey being our new board president and some of his leadership and the leadership of other board members, is that we're in this direction of really trying to bring even greater outreach to families in crisis. And that's why Mickey and I did this podcast series, because there is such a need for adult children of divorce to find hope and healing through their faith. So you are all cordially invited to go to nonnatus.org and to go to our website and find out more about what we do. Look at the 4 areas of where we do our ministry, which would be the prayer, priestly consultation, podcast, and also programs and retreats. These are ways that you can learn and spread the word for us. We really appreciate anything that you can do to help us to spread the word. Now, I do have to make this shout out too, just because all nonprofits, we're not selling anything where we're making money off of like items or things like that. So the way that we actually bring money into this foundation is through good people just like yourself who decide, I want to make a donation. That donation can be one time or it can be recurring. All you need to do is go to the nonnatus.org website, the drop down for support us. Right now, if you're listening to this program I believe this one is actually airing in early June, we have a donate now button, which is probably the best way that you can donate to us, is just to go right to that donate now. So thank you, Mickey, also for your words of wisdom. Now, there's a lot of other organizations that you can get involved with. And I thought I'd turn it over to Mickey because Mickey's very well involved in the pro-life world. He's involved with a lot of young adult groups and things like that. Mickey, could you give them some ideas of maybe what they could get involved in to bring hope and healing to others?
Sure. And I feel like, given what the Latin meaning of our founder, Saint Raymond Nonnatus, not yet born. Let's face it. I mean, it's we're like really into like the whole family, especially particularly the culture of life. And someone who's listened to this, perhaps they have been affected by abortion directly or indirectly, and whether it's the woman or the father, the mother or the father. And just want you to know that there is healing. You can still seek it. It's never too late. The only time that it will be too late is you're dying and in all your life, you've just brushed off the opportunity to seek God's healing in the sacrament of reconciliation. And there's these Rachel Vineyard retreats, there's these Project Rachel, and I think they changed the name recently, but the point being that there are healing retreats out there you can attend. And also too, I don't want to also just make this about abortion, but also those that I think there's also been a misconception, especially from the mainstream media in a recent event that happened, that there's like a misunderstanding between abortion and a miscarriage. Now, miscarriage, there's some circumstances surround that, but it's not, direct murder of an unborn child. Like perhaps something happened, like with fertility, and you and I know some women that have had this problem quite well, and I know someone in my family that had it. There's also a healing retreat for you as well. So you may want to look into those. Now, as far as other ministries you can get involved in, young adults, there's all these young adult groups. There is even a parish young adult group, I'm sure, or even a neighboring church. For young men for men 18 and over, there's the Knights of Columbus that spiritually you become a better man and a better father, even a better son. You also have the men's spirituality ministries, the annual Man Up Conference, which Ed and I go to, have been going for the past few years together. We also there are some women groups out there, like Women Made New. There's quite a bit. Blessed is She. Those things help you realize that you are not alone. You're not alone in your faith journey. And you're going to find people that are willing to help you reach your goal in life, and that is heaven.
Amen. It is heaven. And thanks for those great suggestions. I'm glad you brought up Knights of Columbus too, because that's really like an international organization. So no matter where you're listening from, anywhere in the United States, I mean, you'll be able to find Knights of Columbus for men who are interested in getting involved. And you're really getting involved also in your own parish life too when you do that. So I think that's a great thing, that it helps you to get involved with your community and also to spreading the faith. And that's wonderful. There's also a couple other organizations that I've mentioned quite a few times, because this podcast is for adult children of divorce, of course. And this is called Life Giving Wounds. And I would just encourage all of you to go on their website. We are so grateful. They love our podcast, and Life Giving Wounds actually put our podcast with Mickey and I on their website. So we're really grateful to them. Their website is lifegivingwounds.org. They're, as I said, a wonderful organization that does so much for adult children of divorce. So please do check that out, because you can also get involved with Life Giving Wounds, and you can really help to make that outreach to the adult children of divorce. And I would encourage you to give to them too, to give to their ministry, because their ministry, again, is just doing incredible, incredible work for adult children of divorce. And another person that I've talked to about more than once on this podcast for adult children of divorce is our wonderful friend, Joey Pontarelli with restoredministry.com. And his ministry is it gives practical advice and tools to help teens and young adults cope, heal, and grow from the trauma of their parents' divorce or separation, so they can feel whole again and thrive in every area of life. I highly recommend for all of you to subscribe to that website, listen to his beautiful podcast, and also to give to Restored Ministry, because I know him. He's interviewed me on the podcast. We've talked several times, and he is doing incredible work. So that is a way that you can get involved in helping adult children of divorce. Now, I'm going to turn the topic back to pro-life, because Mickey's a real expert in pro-life in the greater Philadelphia area. And we can't end a podcast like this without mentioning them, because they have done so much work with us, and we admire the work that they're doing. And that is the Pro-Life Union of Greater Philadelphia. So I thought, Mickey, maybe you could spend a few minutes. Tell us about the Pro-Life Union. Why do you think they're a wonderful organization, and why should people consider getting involved in their ministry?
Well, and I think it really speaks for itself, because the Pro-Life Union, it had been around since 1970, so just before the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision. And they have, over the years, grown. They made their presence known throughout the greater Philadelphia area. And I believe, well, around this time 4 years ago, actually, there was a rally, to stand in solidarity with the pro-life women who were harassed by a state representative named Brian Sims, who, he actually is like their best friend to Planned Parenthood, so to speak. And honestly, they had some national attention, that they've also raised funds in light of in light of Brian Sims' stunts, that they raised funds for the Pro-Life Union. I think it paid dividends, tremendously. The Pro-Life Union Greater Philadelphia, has like a really big umbrella, and of course, we're proud to be a member of the organization as well. With the foundation, of course. And they connected so many wonderful pro-life ministries throughout the Philadelphia area to help people not only to build a culture of life, but to help those who have been scarred by the lies of abortion, and those who walked away from the abortion industry, and hopefully they're going to proclaim the gospel of life. It's been a while since that happened, but I'm confident it's going to happen sooner or later. So we'll see what happens. And we have an excellent president in Tom Stevens, who's done a tremendous job, the past 5 years. And he has a good staff. And he also has a good network of warriors willing to step into the breach, save babies, and also help moms in their time of great need.
Yes, thank you. And Mickey, that's wonderful. And I have to mention that back in 2020, our own Mickey Kelly was given a special award for his service for what he did during the year of 2020. But it's not just during 2020. He continues to do so much for the pro-life world in the greater Philadelphia area. So thank you, Mickey. I thought we could also turn it over to a couple other organizations I know that you really like, Mickey, which are ways that maybe people who are listening might be able to get involved. I believe one of them is Generation Life, and whatever other one you want to share, but especially for younger adults, I believe that you have a couple that you might want to share with them.
Yes, and I would say there are like a couple of there are like a couple ministries. You have Generation Life, you have the Culture Project. They're like the main two I definitely can really think of that have addressed well, I'll put it this way. Generation Life, has been around since 2000, and they are trying to like encourage people to live chastely. Of course, that's where a lot of abortions are happening. And push comes to shove. Push comes to shove. They have went from billboards to the classroom, and Generation Life, they even have a beach outreach every summer, like around this, like one senior week, like for the high school graduates. Like they go to the beaches and they talk about chastity to these people. Culture Project, they go like Generation Life, they also go into classrooms and talk about the issue, but they have a focus on human dignity, so to speak. And I feel like in our culture today, like, with the apparatus of the internet, a lot of people are getting their knowledge, their resources, their wisdom in the wrong places. But these two organizations remind young people that they are more than what a TikTok video says, or all those comments and likes that they get, through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. I forget what's popular these days anyway. Both these organizations want to help build up the human person. And I think it's far too often that we are seeing a culture where every person is being dehumanized, no matter what walk of life they are. Someone that goes from man to woman or woman to man, whatever the case is, all because someone built them down. Both of them equally are building a culture of life. There's one, in my opinion, both of them have one goal, and that is to rehumanize people at a young age.
Excellent, and good resources. So please do Google and find out more about Generation Life and the Culture Project. And as I mentioned, the Pro-Life Union of Greater Philadelphia, which is prolifeunion.org. And, they are an organization in the Philadelphia area, but I believe that people who live in all different areas of the country can donate and help out that way. So please do check it out. I thought as we end this series, Mickey, we could just go through, I'm going to go through the list of what those 10 tips for adult children, what they are, and end the podcast with just some helpful resources that we have on our website. So those 10 tips were: 1 was hold on to your faith and seek God. 2 was understand that it isn't your fault, and that's referring to the parents' divorce. 3 is seek support for your situation. 4 was to foster friendship with those who understand. 5, to live out the sacramental life in the greatest of ways. 6 was to seek peace with your parents and siblings where possible. 7 was to consider counseling or therapy when needed. 8 was to intercede to the saints for you and your family. 9 was to join a support group or Catholic small group for extra support. And 10 was to pray and to consider helping a ministry that ministers to families. So that's what we did on this podcast. Mickey, before we end, did you have any final words for our audience on the 10 tips for healing for adult children of divorce.
And for the past few episodes, I have been, and we've both collectively been asking people to seek healing, get involved, and make their faith an active part of their lives. And most importantly, don't be afraid to share your story while also helping others seek the same healing that you once sought.
Excellent words of advice. And that is true, because when we pray for and help others, and that last tip that we gave is getting involved in ministry, believe it or not, that's part of your healing. That's why we included in 10 tips for healing for adult children of divorce. So I think it's been a great series. And before we end, I just want to remind all of you that we offer free resources on our website. We offer a free pastoral consultation with a Mercedarian friar. Just go to nonnatus.org. Spiritual direction is also available there. Podcasts, programs, and just all kinds of other resources on our outside resources page, which is on our website. You can see a list of all different ways that you can find extra help, catechesis, outreach. So thank you all for being a part of this series. May I ask that you share this series with people that you know? Please put it, if you could, on social media. Share it with your diocese, your archdiocese, churches, organizations. We did this series so that it's a permanent way, right? Once you make a recording, it's permanent. So it's a permanent way that we can continue to help people. So we just ask you if you could do us that favor, a big favor, by asking people to share this series. Mickey, thank you so much again for joining us on this one.
Anytime, Ann, and thank you for having me.
Awesome. Now, I want all of you to keep an eye, because our next series, we're going to do 10 virtues for those affected by divorce and separation. This one can be suitable even for adult children of divorce. The 10 virtues. So keep an eye on that next series. We'll see you soon, and God bless.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. For more information about the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, visit nonnatus.org or email director.srnf@gmail.com.
People who have faith in the shroud as the burial cloth of Christ, but don't understand or don't know the science, when they get to know it and learn it, have more respect for the cloth because of that. Science truly followed and faith well followed blend to form the truth, and the truth is on that cloth.
One possibility, of course, is that we have some unknown man who was scourged, crucified, stabbed with a lance, crowned with thorns, who spent less than 3 days within his burial shroud and bears his image in such a way that it cannot be recreated with all the technology that exists today. Or perhaps, just perhaps, it may be Jesus the Christ.
This is your salvation. This is love in action.